Welcome to Rod's Radio. 3, 2, 1, let's go.
Hello, my name is Jacob Rodriguez, and welcome to the very first episode of Rod's Radio. Here we will discuss all basketball, mainly NBA, along with some NCAA news. For now, I will be uploading 2 podcasts every week and eventually move to 5 podcasts during the weekdays. Let me start this off by telling you guys a little bit more about myself. I am 18 years old from Chicago, Illinois. I played basketball for over 11 years and currently playing at North Central College. I love the game, I'm a fan of the game, and know the game. That's part of the reason why I started this podcast. And I'm going to be honest with you guys, I am a Lakers fan, but I will be completely neutral during this podcast with no Lakers bias whatsoever. I'm very excited to start this podcast because I have a lot of knowledge and a lot of opinions I would like to get off my chest. So without further ado, let's get right into Rod's Radio. All right, so the NBA is coming off one of its most historic seasons ever. You know, they got hit with the pandemic in March, and then they had to adjust, and they came back to play in July, and they played in the NBA bubble in Orlando. I thought the NBA bubble was great. It wasn't really different as a fan watching. I know the NBA players have said it was a lot different, you know, playing with no fans, no family in attendance up until the playoffs, of course. I really enjoyed the whole experience. You know, I couldn't imagine how hard it was being in the NBA bubble, as a lot of players have said. The bubble brought out the best and the worst in teams. It really tested the team's chemistry and just overall durability. You know, at the end of the day, they had to crown one champion, and the NBA champion was the Los Angeles Lakers. You know, this was a surprise, but not much of a surprise, honestly. The Lakers are a powerhouse. It's just that simple. You know, it's a new team coming in this season compared to last season. They lost a few guys. Dwight Howard, JaVale McGee, Rondo, Danny Green, you know, some champions, some experienced veterans. But it's not like they took a step back this season. If anything, they moved a step forward. You know, they added a lot of new guys. You know, getting Dennis Schroeder, you know, who's a dog, came in second in Sixth Man of the Year voting. You know, you can't go wrong with that. And we got the reigning Sixth Man of the Year, Montrezl Harrell, who's just like Dennis Schroeder, but just 6'10", you know? He's a dog. Those guys are going to grind out games. You know, bringing in Wesley Matthews. He's coming off career lows in Milwaukee, but, you know, he's still a three-point specialist, 3-and-D guy. So the Lakers need that. Bringing in Marc Gasol, which is questionable, to say the least. You know, I don't think Marc Gasol's like that anymore. You know, he's way past his prime, but he's a pick-and-pop guy, can pass the ball, you know, can score. And then we got players returning. KCP, who was a key part in the championship. I believe the record is, 2-1 now? Or no, are they 3-0? I'm not sure. Honestly, I rarely pay attention to preseason basketball, and that's just because you can't get too high, but you can't get too low in preseason basketball. You know, NBA players are getting paid millions and millions of dollars. They're not trying in preseason basketball, honestly. Nonetheless, one player that is trying is Talen Horton-Tucker off the Lakers G League team. He's getting some minutes this year. We saw him in the bubble doing some work. What did he drop? 19, 33, and 18 in preseason, in the 3 preseason games they played. So, I mean, you know, he has a legit shot to be starting. You know, let's see if he takes Kyle Kuzma's minutes. You know, Kyle Kuzma has been struggling. I mean, he struggled last year. In preseason, he's been doing good. So hopefully there's a redemption year for Kuz, because, I mean, if he has another downfall season like he did last year, I don't see him finishing the year in LA. Honestly, like, he just needs to step up. But at the same time, he's having a hard time fitting into his role. You know, it's never easy playing with 2 superstars like LeBron and AD. So let's just hope he figures out his role this season. Along with the Lakers, a lot of teams decided to make some improvements this offseason. So here are my picks for offseason winners. First up, the Bucks. They got, you know, a tremendous player in Drew Holiday. You know, upgrade from Eric Bledsoe, a 3-and-D guy, one of the best two-way guards in the league, if not the best one. You know, I'm not sure if Giannis needs a point guard. I believe they need, like, a better big man, in my opinion. I don't think the point guard was the issue, but we'll see. And I believe just that addition got them better. I know they're trying to get Bogdanovic. You know, that fell through. You know, they still got better with that one. You know, and they also brought back Giannis to Supermax, making him the highest paid player in NBA history. You know, that's huge. That's the cornerstone to their franchise. So, I mean, if Giannis were to leave, they would be irrelevant again. You know, one of the other offseason winners, the Suns. You know, the Suns traded for Chris Paul. Traded away Kelly Oubre, which was, you know, a questionable move. But, I mean, they got back Chris Paul, one of the best point guards in the league, one of the best point guards to ever play the game. Sticking him with Devin Booker and DeAndre Ayton, you know, that's scary. That's real scary. And they signed Jay Crowder, which is huge. Jay Crowder is a tremendous shooter, He's that guy that I would like on my team. He's going to do the little things. He's going to do things that don't show up on the stat sheet. He's going to hit the big shots, The Suns need that. The final winner, I believe, is the Golden State Warriors. I believe they got better from when they were last year, even though they lost Clay again due to injury. I'm wishing him a speedy recovery. But, they drafted James Wiseman. They drafted Nico Manian, who is one of the, I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name right, but you guys know who I'm talking about. The redhead from Arizona. He's got a good game to him. And, Steph Curry being his teacher is going to be just the sky's the limit for him. And they also traded for Kelly Oubre. Kelly Oubre is one of the most underrated players in this league. So, all those pieces around Steph Curry, along with Draymond Green, Eric Paschall, I don't know if I'm saying his last name right either, Andrew Wiggins, who is coming off, one of his better years. I believe he could have another good year this season. I think the Warriors are also a top 5 or 6 team in the West. You can't bet against Steph Curry. It's going to be exciting to see them come playoff time for sure. And with some offseason winners, there's some offseason losers. And there's 3 teams who I think have gotten worse from last season. The first one is the Hornets. They drafted LaMelo Ball, who's going to be tremendous in this league. Don't get me wrong. But, they signed Gordon Hayward to what, $30 million a year? For what? He already broke his pinky, I believe. He's listed day to day, but I don't know what Michael Jordan is thinking. There's a lot of ways he could go. He could take this franchise. There's a lot of direction, like different directions he could take this franchise, but he chooses the wrong direction every time. So, we'll see. Maybe Gordon Hayward has a good year this year. Maybe I'm wrong. But, that's rare for me to be wrong. But another loser, I believe, are the Clippers. I'm not just saying this because they're my rival team, but they signed Paul George to what? He's making another. Didn't he get the Supermax as well? That's crazy because Paul George is not that good to get the Supermax. No, it's just crazy. And then they went from Montrezl Harrell to Serge Ibaka, who I think is a downgrade. Maybe if Serge Ibaka was the 2012 Serge Ibaka, but he's not. And the last loser, I think, is the Spurs, who absolutely did nothing. They hardly did anything. I don't know what they're trying to do with DeMar DeRozan, LaMarcus Aldridge. That's not going to go anywhere. They have Lonnie Walker, who I think's going to be a good guard in the league. Not sure if he's a starting point guard, but we'll see. I feel bad for Spurs fans. They're used to winning, but their front office doesn't want to win, obviously. Not right now at this moment. Looking overall at the league, a lot of the teams did get better. A lot of teams are back in the championship hunt, per se. Obviously, the Lakers are the clear favorites, but, I believe there are teams that stepped up or teams that are under the radar at the moment, and one of them is the Dallas Mavericks. I believe the Dallas Mavericks are going to finish top 3 in the West, and that's just not due to the fact they have Luka, who is arguably top 5 player in this league, pairing him with Kristaps Porzingis. Unfortunately, he went down with the injury in the playoffs. But I believe this year, with both of them healthy, they could do some damage. They brought back Courtney Lee. They brought back Trey Burke, Willie Cauley-Stein. Those are tremendous role players. They also have Jalen Brunson, Dorian Finney-Smith. They brought in Josh Green, kid out of Arizona, who I think is going to be a stud. They have Boban. They just brought in Josh Richardson from the Sixers. The Mavericks are only getting better. As the years progress, Luka gets better. It's going to be exciting to see where they go this season. Another team under the radar, who I believe are going to make the playoffs, is the Detroit Pistons. They have Derrick Rose, who is still one of the most underrated guards in the league for some reason. People think that he's not as good anymore. He had good averages last year. What did he average? Almost 20 points a game. He can still play. And then bringing in Killian Hayes, from Germany, being mentored by Derrick Rose, and I believe he got named the starting point guard for the season by Dwayne Casey. They have Josh Jackson, who just dropped 17 points off the bench in the preseason game. You can't go wrong with that. Mason Plumlee, who's got playoff experience. He's had a bad rep in the playoffs recently, but I think it's only up from here for the Detroit Pistons, and I believe in the weaker East that they can manage to make the playoffs as an 8 seed. Another team I believe is under the radar are the Atlanta Hawks. A lot of people might think, oh, they're not under the radar. We know how good they are. Do we? Trey Burke's, people forget how good Trey Burke actually is. We have to put some respect on his name. He always gets clowned for not being a good defensive player, but he can score the ball. So There's other people to play defense on that team. They got in Bogdanovich, and they also brought in Rondo. Those are two key pieces to elevating your franchise. Rondo, champion, experience in the playoffs, can help that young Hawks team amazingly. Bogdanovich is a scorer, 6'6", lethal from three. They have Clint Capella, John Collins, excuse me. They brought in Chris Dunn, scrappy guard. Let's see what he does off the bench. Gallinari, come on, Kevin Huerter. I don't know if I said his last name right. This team is gonna be dangerous. Cam Reddish, who I think is gonna have a revenge season after there was disrespect last season. In this league, the narrative is you can't let people develop. It used to be, wait a couple years for your player to develop, but everybody's peer pressuring players who are lottery picks to make an impact right away. These kids are young, 18, 19, coming into the league. Just give them time to develop. I don't know if they're a top 5 team in the East, but I know they will make the playoffs. I think I have them as the 7th seed this year. I don't know if they'll make it out the first round, but they're still an underrated team. Another team under the radar, I believe, are the Warriors. As I said before, you can't doubt Steph Curry. Veteran Steph Curry now with a bunch of young guys. Let's see how he leads this team. He was coming into the league with guys like Monte Ellis, So let's see. Jermaine O'Neal, vets. So I think Steph Curry will prosper in this role, honestly. Now, I know what you guys are thinking. There's one team that there are two teams I haven't discussed, and that is the Nets and the Houston Rockets. Okay, and I was just saving this for the second half of the show. Let's get into the Nets first, okay? The Nets were a playoff team last year. Karis LeVert in the bubble, amazing. I believe he choked against the Trailblazers, but it's whatever. New season, who cares? But now they pair up Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant, who are two of the most prolific scorers to ever play the game. My honest opinion, I don't think they're going to work. When you have one ball and two players of that nature, how is that going to work? Okay, they're going to win a lot of games. There's no doubt about that. But when it comes to playoff and winning time, I just don't see them meshing well together. You got Spencer Dinwiddie, who likes the ball, Karis LeVert, who likes the ball. How are those players going to react with those two always getting the ball? Nonetheless, I believe they're a top 3 or 4 team in the East. Let's just wait and see what they're capable of doing in the playoffs, because there's no doubt about what they're going to do during the regular season. Yeah, so along with the Nets, we have the Houston Rockets, who, have an elephant in the room, James Harden wanting out. James Harden requested a trade. He does not want to be a Houston Rocket anymore. It's just that simple. The Rockets tried to make him feel better by trading away Russell Westbrook to the Wizards for John Wall, bringing in DeMarcus Cousins, bringing in Christian Wood. Good players. I was watching the preseason games, and they looked well. But James Harden still wants to leave. He does not like Houston. I don't know why he wouldn't like Houston. I know there's strip clubs in Houston. I know it's not Atlanta. I know it's not Vegas. But come on now. You got Travis Scott. What's not to like? He had all the power there. But, enough was enough for him. I believe he wants to win a championship. You can't blame a man wanting to win a championship. I believe they don't have a championship team right now, but I believe they can get to the Western Conference Finals with the team they have. Oh, yes, they can. Houston has to make a decision, and they told his ass no. They told his ass no. And from what I'm hearing is that's the first time they ever said no to James Harden. Bold move. But, you have a franchise player in James Harden. You have him under contract. It's not like he can just leave. Why trade him? Anything you get in return for James Harden is not going to be enough. It's not going to be enough to fulfill the void of him leaving. So, James Harden has games in the playoffs where he doesn't show up. Okay? It's in history. You can go back and look at games. But James Harden is a tremendous player. He's amazing. Can score the ball at will. Can give you 30 every night, 40 every night, So why would Houston move on from him? That easy is what I'm saying. There's talk of James Harden kind of acting like a diva. A former member of the Houston Rockets staff described the team as an organized AAU team. Nothing ever starts on time. The plane is always late. The bus is never on time. It's just an organized AAU team. That came from ESPN. A former staff member throwing Harden under the bus. I mean, isn't it crazy the timing of these tweets? You know, it's questionable. Why are these coming out now? I'm not doubting this shit happened, but why is it coming out now? You know, this is hurting James Harden's trade value. I mean, can you blame the people that are coming out now, or can you blame James Harden? Here's another quote. Apparently, Russell Westbrook didn't really tolerate James Harden always being late. Tim McMahon said on one occasion in the Florida bubble, Harden wanted to get his daily COVID-19 testing until just before the Rockets film session was scheduled to start. When he wasn't on time, Westbrook barked, "Start the film, start without him." And D'Antoni said, "No, we're just going to have to restart it when James Harden comes back." And Westbrook really didn't like that. Another quote is one of Paul's biggest beefs, sources said, was that Harden basically opted not to participate in the Rockets' offense when the ball wasn't in his hands, sometimes barely stepping over half court while spectating when Paul had the ball. Gosh, this man, oh, wow. It's just crazy that James Harden is like this. I mean, you know, it's like the Rockets are to blame, honestly. But at the same time, James Harden, you're 30 years old. Like, come on, man. Grow up. But I mean, you know, when you give your kid candy all the time and then you don't give him candy, what, you expect him not to whine? Come on now. You know, the Rockets had it coming. There's better ways to go about these things.
And when James Harden requested a trade, he requested to get traded to the Brooklyn Nets and to play with his former teammate Kevin Durant and all-star point guard Kyrie Irving. Wow. I mean, I thought I looked at James Harden differently, okay? As one of the different superstars that wanted to, you know, win on his own, be the lead guy, you know? I thought he was one of those guys, wanting to take the easy way out and team up with Kyrie and KD. Like, what? I think at first the Nets were offering like Spencer Dinwiddie, you know, Jared Allen, a couple draft picks or something. And luckily, Houston is not stupid, because Houston would only accept a trade where they trade James Harden and get back either Kyrie or KD, because that seems like the only reasonable option, okay? Those three cannot team up, okay? If that trade were to happen, Adam Silver would have to veto it or something, because what? Like, why would that be allowed, first of all? And why would the Nets think that Houston is dumb enough to even accept that trade? And then the Rockets said, no, we're not trading James Harden. James Harden is going to stay with us. And then James Harden realized that the Houston were not going to trade him to the Nets. So he decided to come up with other teams. James Harden, he listed the Bucks, he listed Miami and other contenders as possible destinations. You know, I like the Bucks, you know, James Harden and Giannis together. That would be very interesting. You know, I don't think that's too overpowered, like KD and Kyrie and James Harden. You know, it automatically puts them in the finals. Automatically. I think they're the better team between KD and Kyrie and the Nets. But I would like to see them in Miami, for sure. I don't know what Miami would have to give up. I know they're reluctant on trading Duncan Robinson, and I feel like they would have to pull that trigger. I mean, if you get a superstar like James Harden, like I think you can get rid of Duncan Robinson. I think you could. I wouldn't get rid of Tyler Hero. I wouldn't. I'm saying it right now. I wouldn't. Tyler Hero is going to be special. Let me repeat that. Tyler Hero is going to be special. The kid can play. We just saw it in the finals. When's the last time we've seen a rookie perform like that in the finals? When's the last time? Magic? Come on. If I'm Miami, I'm keeping Tyler Hero. I'm not getting rid of Bam, Jimmy. Not getting rid of Goran. You know, those are key guys to that team. So, another team that was floating around there is Philly. Philly would have to give up Ben Simmons, is what I'm hearing. The Rockets want Ben Simmons, Matisse Thybulle, and at least 3 first-round picks in exchange for James Harden. Wow. In the beginning, I was sold on Ben Simmons, okay? But if this season he doesn't get a jump shot, he's in trouble. It's just insane how he does not have a jump shot yet. Like, how are you an NBA player and don't have a jumper? It just I'm sorry. I'm at loss for words right now of how he does not have a jumper yet. If we're talking about straight up trade, James Harden, Ben Simmons, and plus those 3 first-round picks, I think I pull the trigger. I don't know about 3 first-round picks, maybe 2, maybe 1, but 3, questionable, very questionable. But I would pull the trigger if I'm Philly. I would. Does that make them a finals team? I don't know. We have yet to see James Harden play with a dominant center like Joel Embiid, a big that could stretch the floor. We have yet to see that. So, I mean, it'd be interesting to see. I don't know if they make the finals if they get James Harden. They also have Dwight Howard. Just got Seth Curry. We'll see. We'll see what happens with James Harden. There's other teams that engaged in trade talks with the Rockets for James Harden. The Raptors and Mavericks are 2 teams that called. Good for the Raptors. Good for the Raptors. We saw what Pascal did in the postseason. What was that, dude? Like, were you playing for the other team? Come on. And the Mavericks, I mean, pairing up James Harden with Luka and Kristaps Porzingis, that's a dynasty right there. That is a dynasty. He's going right next door to Dallas. That would be something amazing to see. Nonetheless, it does not look like James Harden has a suitable trade partner yet. Houston is looking to trade him sooner rather than later, is what I'm saying. But it does not look like a lot of teams want James Harden or think he's worth what the Rockets are asking for. That could be in part of what former coaches and workers for Houston are saying, or that could just be in part of what James Harden's doing. I mean, James Harden didn't show up for training camp for like a week. He was out with Lil Baby in Atlanta, rapper Lil Baby. You have to look at these players. They're not just players. They're men. They're grown men. They're celebrities. They have celebrity friends. They have friends with a lot of money, okay? And there's nothing wrong with that. If I was an NBA player, I'd be hanging out with all the rappers too. But at the end of the day, you have a job. A job. A job. You play for the Houston Rockets. You're under contract, James. I get that you were handed everything in Houston. You were given the keys to Houston, okay? I understand. But at the end of the day, you have to act like a professional. You have kids that look up to you, and this is the way you act? Over here buying Rich Millie's $100,000 to Lil Baby for his birthday. Out there partying in clubs during a pandemic. No mask. Hanging with the Meek Mills. Come on, James. Do better. If he were to do better in this situation, I guarantee he would have gotten traded already. Oh, yes, he would have. And James has to look at that, take a step back, and learn from this, okay? I understand if the kid was 25, 24. But he's up in his 30s, I'm pretty sure. 29, maybe? Come on, James. And you show up to training camp or show up to practice looking like Kendrick Perkins, looking like you gained 20 pounds instead of losing 20 pounds. What goes through your head at that moment? Honestly, James Harden needs to do better. And I think he realizes he does need to do better. He came back for a couple of preseason games. It came out after the first preseason game that he still doesn't even want to play with John Wall. He's his own man. He could do what he wants, but at the same time, you have to act professional. You have to. He wasn't talking to the media at first. Wasn't fine about it. But Kyrie was fine when he put out that statement saying he's not speaking to the media. So I don't know what's going on there. Well, Harden eventually started to talk to the media, and they had this question to ask him, and just listen to his response as well.
James, what was the point that you were trying to get across when you went to Atlanta and Vegas when training camp was starting?
I was just training.
What were you training for?
The start of the NBA season.
How did going to Atlanta and Vegas help you there when the Rockets were starting training camp in Houston?
Just my personal trainers.
Really? Like, who does he think we are? I mean, I don't know too many answers that you could give to that question. But at the same time, you just look dumb, okay? Honestly. Just, wow. if you had personal trainers, you wouldn't look like you gained 20 pounds. You wouldn't look like Kendrick Perkins. You wouldn't be looking like Rick Ross. Okay? God, man. I'm sorry. It's the first episode and I'm already ticked off. I'm already getting hot. I'm already sweating. My armpits are sweating right now. Jesus. I'm sorry. So even with all that drama, we'll see where James Harden goes from here. Does he start the season with the Rockets? I think so. I think he starts the season with the Rockets. Will something change? We'll see. I just shrugged, but we'll see. All right, so we're getting towards the end of the show. I'd like to end the first episode, with the NBA season starting next week. I like to give my projection of the NBA standings, East and West. So let me start off with the East, okay? I'm going to go from the bottom to the top. I believe that would make more sense. I don't think you want me to wait until all the way to the last seed, but so start off number 15, dead bottom. I got the Cleveland Cavaliers. I mean, do I need to explain? What have they done, honestly? Besides Kevin Porter getting gun charges. Orlando Magic is 14. Cole Anthony was a nice addition, but come on now. Yeah, I don't know how they keep making the playoffs. I really don't. But I think this is finally the year, like, the NBA wakes up and it's like, why do they keep making the playoffs? Number 13, I have the New York Knicks. Obi Toppin, stud. This dude is going to be all-time great. Mark my words. He is going to save the Knicks, but not this year. No. They want to start Obi Toppin and Julius Randle. Julius Randle hasn't been the same since he left the Lakers. He just spin moves all over the place. I mean, it's not going to help their offense. I'm not a fan of RJ Barrett. I'm not. We'll see. We'll see where the Knicks ends up this season. But I know it's not the playoffs. If they make the playoffs, I'll dye my hair pink. Okay? Number 12, I got the Chicago Bulls. Hometown Bulls. They have a nice backcourt. Zach LaVine, Kobe White. Promising young pick in Patrick Williams. I was questionable at the pick, but I saw him play in the preseason. He's not that bad. Not that bad at all. He's got a Kawhi Leonard game to him. Hopefully he's gonna be a great player. Laurie, coming off one of his worst seasons. So hopefully he bounces back. But I don't think in any way in hell that this team will stay consistent in winning. Playoffs next year for sure, but not this year. Number 11, I got the Charlotte Hornets. Yeah, they drafted LaMelo Ball. Kid's going to be great. Devontae Graham, P.J. Washington, Miles Bridges. They got a good young cast. But they signed Gordon Hayward and gave him $30 million. $30 million! $30 million to Gordon Hayward. This isn't Utah Jazz Gordon Hayward. No. This is 10 points a game Gordon Hayward. Next, Washington Wizards. I got them at 10. People may be like, Russell Westbrook and Bradley Beal's not going to make the playoffs? Duh. They're not. What? Russell Westbrook doesn't play good with anybody. He doesn't. Dude's a walking turnover. And just pull up jumpers, OC-ass layups. Bradley Beal's going to... I feel so bad for Bradley Beal. He needs to leave. He does. Come to L.A. Nah, I'm just kidding. Am I? Am I kidding? Nah, I'm just kidding. Number 9, I got the Pacers. Malcolm Brogdon. I think they have T.J. McConnell. Victor Oladipo. I mean, I wish he was still the same player. I hope he comes back the same player this year. T.J. Warren. Dropping 50 in the bubble for no reason. That was surprising. Sabonis is back this year. Miles Turner. I think the East is better this year. I really think it is. And I don't think the Pacers make the cut. Number 8, I got Detroit Pistons. They're my underdog team this year, man. Derrick Rose, Killian Hayes, Blake Griffin, Jeremy Grant. Forgot they got him. I know he had a bad game one time in the preseason, but he's still Jeremy Grant. Number 7, I got the Atlanta Hawks. A-Town, baby. Trae Young, Rondo, John Collins, Clint Capella. They got a nice squad. So I'm excited to see what they do in the playoffs. Number 6, I got the Toronto Raptors getting Fred VanVleet back. Pascal Siakam. I hope he
stops being a baby and just plays like he did in the finals in 2019. Kyle Lowry, come on. That's a playoff team. Number 5, I got the Philadelphia 76ers. Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid. That's been their team for a while now. Philly's got to make some moves, man. They did get shooters this offseason. Seth Curry, Danny Green, getting rid of Al Horford, bringing in Dwight Howard. They brought in some championship experience. I'll give them that. But there's still that one player away to put them in that contention category. Number 4, I got Boston Celtics. Jason Tatum, baby. I never compare people to Kobe, but this man is the next best thing. Well, will be. You look at their games, they're so similar. Kemba Walker, Jaylen Brown, they got the same team basically coming back. That doesn't diminish the players' play. They're still a good team. Just not a top 3 team, in my opinion. Number 3, I got the Brooklyn Nets. Yeah, Brooklyn Nets taking the 3rd seed. Kyrie Irving coming off injuries, and so is Kevin Durant. Are they going to be healthy all 72 games? I doubt it. And I'm not wishing them to get hurt or anything. I just don't see them being healthy all 72 games. So that's the reason why I have them 3rd seed. And there could be issues. There could be issues with them playing. I think there will. Number 2, I got the Miami Heat, the defending Eastern Conference champions, baby. I would give them the 1st seed, honestly. I would. They lost Jay Crowder. People don't realize how much of an impact Jay Crowder can bring to a team. Okay? Jimmy Butler's, I think, still top 1 or 2 dudes in the East right now. So, yeah, I mean, people are forgetting about Miami. They're saying their run to the finals was a fluke. I don't think so. I had them going to the finals back in November. And number 1, I got the Milwaukee Bucks. They still have Giannis, Chris Middleton. Chris Middleton did phenomenal in the bubble. The kid could score, for sure. And Drew Holiday, they're a powerhouse, man. They are. Will Giannis finally make it to the finals this year? I don't think so. Let's see if I'm wrong this time, which is rare. But we'll see. All right, moving on to the Western Conference. Number 15, dead last, I have the Minnesota Timberwolves. And people may be thinking, Jacob, you're crazy. Am I? I'm not a fan of Anthony Edwards. I'm not. Okay? In college, he was inconsistent. He'd have 31 games, 7 the next. And, D'Angelo Russell, I like to see him do better. D'Angelo Russell on the Nets was phenomenal. Golden State, kind of iffy. Let's see if he can bounce back here while he's playing a full season, of course. Carl Anthony Towns. Prayers to him. Lost 7 family members to COVID. That I wouldn't wish that on anybody. And he's going to take the right precautions this year, I'm told. Carl Anthony Towns used to be better than Joel. And then Joel took a step above him. And I'm looking for Cat to take that next step above. Number 14, I got the Oklahoma City Thunder. They lost Chris Paul, who was the reason they made the playoffs. They have a very young team. They got some vets. They don't have Steven Adams anymore. But they brought in Al Horford, vets. But, I mean, there's only so far you can go right now with the team they have. I don't have high expectations for them. This isn't the same team from last year that everybody counted out. So, moving on to 13, I have the Sacramento Kings. They're just not there yet. They're not. It's a young squad. They brought in Hassan Whiteside to deal with their rebounding issue from last season. But they're still young. They have a stud in Kyle Guy. I know that for a fact. But what else? Buddy Hield, De'Aaron Fox. Come on now. Buddy Hield, what is he, like 27 already? I know he spent all 4 years in college. Is he that guy? Is he the cornerstone to the franchise? Is De'Aaron Fox? I'm not sold, but we'll see. Number 12, I got the San Antonio Spurs. Yeah, the Spurs aren't going to be in the playoffs for a while, baby. They're not. And I love every second of it. I was tired of the Spurs. I was. They had their good run in the 2000s. They did. They gotta look for some other pieces. DeMar DeRozan. Feel bad for the guy. Getting traded away from Toronto Raptors, and then seeing his team win a championship without him. That's tough. LaMarcus Aldridge, not the same player he used to be, and it's starting to show. DeJounte Murray, Lonnie Walker, that's good pieces. They got to capitalize off that. Number 11, I got the Memphis Grizzlies. Jaren Jackson coming off an injury. Hopefully he's the same player. I love Jaren Jackson. I love him. Ja Morant, stud. Ja Morant, Rookie of the Year. I just don't think they have enough in the West to contend for a playoff spot. I don't think so. Number 10, New Orleans Pelicans. Zion, Lonzo, Brandon Ingram, Josh Hart, Steven Adams, JJ Redick, I'm pretty sure. They got a nice squad. Is Zion actually like that? I mean, there's no question he's like that, but is he like that to make the playoffs? Is he really? I know he's not going to have a minute restriction this season. We will see. But I just don't think that they can make the playoffs in the West this year. Number 9, I got the Utah Jazz. Yeah, the Utah Jazz. Donovan Mitchell put them on his back in the playoffs. Literally, on his back. Rudy Gobert had a good Game 7 against the Nuggets, but that's it. Rudy Gobert, honestly, hasn't been the same since March, since he caused the NBA to shut down. Nah, I'm just kidding. He wasn't the reason the NBA got shut down, okay? He wasn't the reason, but you guys get what I'm saying. I just don't think they can make the playoffs. Don't think. Not this year. Not this year. Number 8, I got the Portland Trailblazers. I mean, they have basically the same team from last season, except for Hassan Whiteside and then adding Robert Covington. They have a dude that can guard the perimeter. So, I mean, and they still have Dame. I don't think they have enough firepower to beat the teams above them in the West multiple times to get a better seeding than this. I believe they see the Lakers in the first round again, and we all know how that's going to go. Number 7, I got the Houston Rockets. Yeah, John Wall, DeMarcus Cousins, Christian Wood. They got some three-point shooting, baby. If they have James Harden with them during the playoffs, we'll see. We'll see. These are all my seedings based on James Harden staying in Houston, too, because I have no idea where he's going to go. I have no idea. If I did, you guys would have been the first to know. I mean, even with that, new coaching, new system, adding James Harden to that, I think there are a lot of teams better than the Houston Rockets that could beat the Houston Rockets consistently. Is DeMarcus Cousins going to stay healthy? Is John Wall? We'll see. Number 6, I got the Phoenix Suns. Devin Booker, Chris Paul, DeAndre Ayton, Cam Johnson, Mikal Bridges. This team's no joke no more. They can contend. Not a top 5 seed in the West, top 6, but still, they can contend. I could see them upsetting 3rd seed in the playoffs. I could see it. Number 5, I got Golden State. Steph Curry, James Wiseman, A. Wiggins, Draymond Green, Kelly Oubre, Kent Bazemore. Come on. Steph could lead that team. I could see them even go in conference finals. I could see it. Can you guys see it? I could see it. Number 4, I got the Los Angeles Clippers. Listen, they have the same team. They didn't upgrade any position. They didn't upgrade any guards, any bigs. They downgraded a big from Montrezl Harrell to Serge Ibaka. Paul George got the Supermax. For what? For what? For what? For what? It's crazy. I see them second round again, maybe first round exit. Kawhi Leonard is still the best player on that team. With the 3rd seed, I got the Dallas Mavericks. Like I said before, Luka, Kristaps, Josh Richardson, Josh Green. They're dangerous. They have Luka. Luka's step back is lethal. Number 2, I got Denver Nuggets. I wasn't sold on the Nuggets. I never was the past couple seasons. I knew they were always the high seed, and people were like, oh, watch out for the Nuggets. Watch out for the Nuggets. I never watched out for them because I knew what they were. They were a team during the regular season that got a very good record and did nothing in the playoffs until last season. They said, Jacob, you better shut the bleep up. They told me that. And I was like, okay, I'm a believer. I'm a believer in Jamal Murray, Jokic, those boys in Denver. I'm a believer now. I could see them in the conference finals again. I could definitely see it. Jamal Murray is amazing. The things he was doing in the bubble were just surreal. Jokic, best center. But Denver, Ball, Gary Harris, Will Burton. This team has pieces. They lost Jeremy Grant, who was huge. They can capitalize. Denver's still a very, very good team. And that leads me with the number 1 seed in the Los Angeles Lakers, LA, defending champs. I explained this before. You have the 2 best players on the planet, number 1 and 2. LeBron and AD. Adding Dennis Schroeder, Montrez, Wesley Matthews, adding to Kuz, Talon, Jared Dudley, KCP, adding to those boys, it's going to be hard for them not to get the 1st seed. Those are my rankings for the West and East, and I believe this is like 100% right, if not 110%. All right, so this wraps up this week's episode of Rod's Radio. I just want to thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for supporting me. More and more episodes coming out very soon. So I hope to do this for a very long time. I hope you guys love listening to this podcast as much as I love doing it. And I want to make sure you guys follow my Instagram at Rods_radio and my Twitter at Rods_radio. They're both the same username at Rods_radio. That's RODS_RADIO. And yeah, so with that being said, I just want to say Rod out.